Good evening. I'd like to call our regular business meeting to order and ask the treasurer to call the roll.
President Baker?
Present.
Brown?
Here.
Vice President Cole?
Here.
Ms. Gibbs?
Here.
Ms. Hudson?
Here.
Mr. Peretti?
Here.
Ms. Reyes?
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. And at this time, I would like to ask a student at Capital University who is here to observe a board meeting for her Principles of Education class to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Hannah Martin, please come to the podium.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, allow me to briefly read through our agenda so we all know the work before us this evening. We do have one speaker this evening who will provide public comment, after which we will hear from our superintendent, treasurer, and internal auditor if they have reports for us, after which we will take up our consent agenda. We will hear announcements from the board. After that, there is no executive session this evening, so we will adjourn following announcements. Having said that, the chair will now entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as it has been presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Treasurer?
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you very much. Now we will take public comment and rules of speaking to the Board of Education. You will have 4 minutes. You should see a timer on the screen in front of you. And when you conclude, the board may have clarifying questions for you. So please don't leave immediately following your remarks. I will call to the podium Mr. Thomas Reed. Topic of his discussion is homework board action, address the lack of homework being assigned to students. Mr. Reed, good evening.
Good evening. President Baker, Vice President Cole, Treasurer Bohoric, Intern Auditor Smith, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Good. Thank you all for having me here. I am a product of Columbus City Schools, and I have 4 children presently in Columbus City Schools, and I am very proud of that fact. I also have 1 family member, full disclosure, that works for the system. The American philosopher George Santayana once said, "A child educated only at school is an uneducated child." Today we take this to mean that a child's family, however that is realized in their home, is integral to a child's education. Parents and guardians are encouraged to volunteer at the school, help fundraise, read with their children, eat meals together as a family, and explore their community together. Along with these expectations comes the responsibility to be in communication with the child's teacher. Homework then becomes the obvious daily medium through which this can best occur. The current strategy of moving away from traditional homework is being used in many children's classrooms. Teachers and administrators have tried looking to various studies, including one from the Case Against Homework by Bennett and Kalish. These authors criticize both the quantity and the quality of homework and provide evidence that too much homework harms students' health and family time, as well as asserting that teachers are not trained well enough in how to assign homework. The price paid for this argument has come at the expense of proactive parents and guardians' awareness of what their children's learning and study habits are, now replaced with a mystery left to be solved by what a young student is able to convey through their own developing vocabulary and speech patterns. In his study, Homework and Performance in Mathematics, Javier Suarez Alvarez supports the use of homework, especially in younger elementary grades, and found that students who are allowed to work on their homework autonomously will learn to take responsibility for understanding key concepts in any basic subject. Parents then are able to witness how their child tackles the assignments and their reactions if they have difficulty. This observation then provides a basis for a conversation with the teacher about where their child may be struggling or excelling. Educational researcher and author Harris Cooper reported in a study published in Educational Leadership in 1989 that homework, quote, should help students develop good study habits, foster positive attitudes towards school, and communicate to students the idea that learning takes work, at home, as well as at school. Even a few problems assigned by the teacher, which reinforce the day's instruction, can help cement these ideas in a student's mind, along with giving parents a snapshot, a daily report card, if you will, of what and how well their child is learning. Another argument from the anti-homework front comes from the homework myth, written by independent scholar and author Alfie Kohn, where he opines that heavy loads of homework can lead to frustration and exhaustion. Most reasonable parents and guardians would not wish to see their young student be put through this. And I don't think that many of us are arguing to see this level or amount of homework be given. Like most things, it's a matter of finding the balance of systematically reinforcing the material that has been taught to our children by someone who's professionally trained to do so, and recognizing that homework completes a recipe for partnership between teachers, parents, and students that doesn't infringe on a child's right to play. In this effort, we must recognize that not all students have the same foundational support at home. Yet when done efficiently, homework does not require a parent or guardian to replace the role of a trained instructor, like our teachers provide so well each day. To make homework as effective as possible, the research does not place an added expectation that a student's home support jump in at the first sign of their child struggling, rather which can hinder a child's learning by not letting them develop their mental perseverance. Any student, even very young students, given the opportunity to hold themselves accountable, will receive, from even a modicum of energy put forth, the knowledge in their mind that will help empower them throughout their education and into adulthood. The essential knowledge that they will have responsibilities outside of the school or class day, which is a key skill that many young adults have wished they were more prepared with to meet the challenges of the world they are walking into. I am urging you today to encourage the teachers and administrators in our system to utilize this daily report card that enables families to assess how their student is progressing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Are there any clarifying questions from board members for Mr. Reed? Seeing none, thank you very much for taking the time to come down this evening. All right. Next, we will hear from the superintendent. I know he has to leave soon to attend another community event where he is representing the district. However, before his remarks and before he leaves, I'd like to take this time to publicly recognize and thank Dr. Good for his efforts each and every day. And as we know, his efforts do not go unnoticed in the community. In fact, on October 5th, the United Way of Central Ohio honored Superintendent Good as the region's 2016 Champion of Children. Let's give him a round of applause. During the awards ceremony, the United Way specifically noted how under Dr. Good's leadership, the district boosted the number of high-quality pre-kindergarten seats by 22% in the last 4 years, led a nearly 50-point turnaround on students meeting the requirements of the third grade reading guarantee, and increased both graduation numbers and the amount of money graduates earned to pay for college up to $57 million for the class of 2016. As she presented the 2016 Champion of Children Award to Dr. Good, Janet Jackson, president of the United Way of Central Ohio, shared the following. Dr. Good is a powerful advocate for all Columbus children, working to empower educators, students, and families to elevate their expectations for what our school community can accomplish. She went on to add, while he is focused on the success of all students in Columbus City schools, he is especially focused on helping the thousands of children who live in poverty, end quote. As we all know, Dr. Good works tirelessly, literally around the clock, and has a very deserving reputation as one of the top urban superintendents in the state and, in fact, the country. Personally, as I reflect on some of the many initiatives the superintendent has implemented, a few that immediately come to mind: expanding in-school health care and mental health care options, connecting more of our off-track students with caring adult mentors, and transforming career technical opportunities for students in the community. So on behalf of the community and this board, thank you, Dr. Good, for your dedication to giving every student, no matter their age or where in our city they come from, the opportunities of success on a path to college, the military, or a valuable career. Thank you very much. Now, is there anything you'd like to share with the board, Mr. Superintendent?
There is indeed. Thank you, President Baker, Vice President Cole, members of the board, and I appreciate the recognition. Unnecessary, but certainly appreciated. We've been focusing a little bit differently this last week, though. Since the board's last meeting, there's really been one major incident that's dominated much, but not all, of administration's time, efforts, and emotions. And while there are many other updates I could share, including our efforts to share information about the levy request with several of our community civic organizations, I feel it's only right to focus on this one incident in my report because of its impact. And as you're well aware, the calm end of the school day at our Linda McKinley STEM Academy last Thursday was shattered by drive-by acts of a carload of outside individuals who fired weapons at two of our students as they walked just steps from the school. The safety of students and staff is and always will be our highest priority in Columbus City Schools, so those gunshots were heard around the district. Let me first share my appreciation for the swift actions, the quick responses, and the resolute dedication of our safety and security teams, both at the school and those who raced to the scene, and for the teachers and the staff in the building who reacted as trained and ushered students back into the safety of the school, including one of the injured students who was tended to by a licensed school nurse. Also for the neighbors and the safety and security specialists who rushed to help the other injured student until first responders arrived. And for the administrators who immediately put their full attentions and support on the students, staff, and families at the school. I've also shared on behalf of the board my thanks to the Columbus Division of Police and the city's Department of Public Safety for their response and their ongoing investigation. In the immediate day after the incident, our leadership team spent time talking with the Linda McKinley team during their professional development day. Joining me were Chief of Staff Stockard, Deputy Superintendent Stanford, our Chief Academic Officer Gillison, Steve McElroy from Operations, Chris Ward from Safety and Security, Cheryl Ward, our lead counselor. We were also joined by Board Member Vice President Michael Cole, Mayor Ginther, City Safety Director Pettis, and Michelle Mills of St. Stephen's Community House. It was a very powerful day of emotion and healing for the staff. They shared their own personal reactions, but also committed to reaching out to every student's family, making phone calls over the next 3 days to every home to check on the students and to reassure the families of their safety. We also set in place several new security measures to further reinforce that our schools are truly safe environments. This includes the assignment of an additional Columbus Police Division School Resource Officer, giving us 2 each day. The addition of 2 members of our own district's safety and security team, giving us 6 each day. And several district administrators who will be spending more of their time in the days following in the building, including both Dr. Stanford, Ms. Gillison, and myself. Yesterday was the first day back for students, and I'm happy to report that one of the injured young men returned to class, not missing a single day of instruction, along with the majority of his 725 classmates at the school. The second student has not yet returned. Yesterday included a visit by members of our care team who counsel both students and staff, helping to address the emotional needs that arise in young people from an incident like this. They also held a special 2-part student meeting, first bringing them all together to remind them of some of the expectations and some of the changes made at the school to stabilize the climate, including the dress code and the backpack policies. Second, the students went back to their classrooms and shared their own thoughts and ideas on how to prevent violence from impacting the school and how to enlist the help of the community to extend the safe zone deep into our neighborhoods. Thank you, Board Member Cole, for attending and observing this day. Finally, the day ended with a special meeting for parents and families, and thank you, Board Member Gibbs, for attending. The meeting was designed to share some of the same messages, offer similar reassurances, and ask for continued support in keeping the violence out of our buildings. We know that the greatest safety challenges confronting our students today are more likely to be found beyond our school walls and outside regular school hours. Events that occur in the neighborhoods away from our buildings, triggered by those who often aren't connected to our schools, still have very real and direct effects on our young people. So we need partners. We need partners in the community and at City Hall to help us engage and activate the neighborhoods, the residents, every local organization around our schools, all focused on reducing incidents of violence and increasing the supports and intervention opportunities for all students. None of us can do this alone. As we move forward, we should look toward continued collaborative efforts that promote comprehensive, coordinated community strategies that truly prevent and reduce violence. I'm actually paraphrasing from a resolution passed by this very board just a few months ago. I appreciate the support you've given to me and to our team to address these matters. And as I said, and you have each said so often before, the safety of our students and staff is our highest priority, and it's not something to be looked at in isolation. From academics through operations, all we do to serve our nearly 52,000 students, we have the ability and responsibility to empower our young people and to give them access to resources and guidance they need to learn in a safe environment, develop their talents, live healthier and productive lives, and reach for a brighter future. I thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Are there any questions or comments from board members on the superintendent's report? Mr. Vice President?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, Dr. Good, for providing us that report. Thank you again to the administration and to that stellar staff at Lyndon McKinley STEM Academy, being very, not only just compassionately reactive, but being very thoughtful and ensuring the safety of those young people at our schools and the staff. I got a chance to see firsthand and hear firsthand the concerns of our young people at the school and also the staff. But what I did see from it all was a resiliency. What I did see from it all was a commitment to still coming to school and believing that that place, that building, is still a safe haven, even when some of our kids are afraid to walk to school because of their neighborhood. And community, I promise you, this is not hyperbole. It is not embellishment, exaggeration. It is real. It is a reality that a lot of our children in that neighborhood are afraid to walk to and from anywhere because of fear of a reprisal or fear of just some sort of violence that may happen in that community and happen to them. I just want to make sure that I ask anybody that is watching, anyone in this community right before us, this team working collaboratively together with the city to address this matter, that our adults and that our young people take the leadership role, become a part of the all hands on deck effort to ensure nonviolence in our community. It is an absolute imperative. It is absolutely essential that we adopt a mindset of enough is enough. One of the hardest things, and Carol Perkins, and I'll be very short after this, Carol Perkins, former president, told me, she said, before I took this position, she said one of the toughest things you'll do is get the notice that one of the children has passed away. And damn if she wasn't telling the truth. That's probably one of the most immediate messages that we receive, and it is one of the most negatively impactful. For those who cannot understand, just imagine your own child in that position of having been shot on campus. Imagine your own child in that position, being in a community where they're afraid to go somewhere, in their own neighborhood. Imagine your child in that position and see how it feels. I take that on every time I get that message because I see each one of our 52,000 kids as one of my own. I'm urging us, I am urging this community to stand tall and strong against nonviolence in this city, against unnecessary violence in this city, against gang violence in this city. Enough is enough. I'm imploring you to just get involved with this all hands on deck effort to stop. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Superintendent?
Because I know the board feels likewise that enough is enough indeed, and especially we're kind of tired of talking about the problem. We want to see some action, and that's what students are telling us. So something that anyone in the community could do is show their support to our Lyndon McKinley family by attending homecoming at Lyndon McKinley this Friday night. It would be wonderful if we could fill the stands with community members that are there to stand tall, as Vice President Cole said, with their students, with their future. So that game begins currently at 7:30. We're considering an earlier start time for it, but that depends on whether we can get umpires to come out then. So some of you may need to wear stripes and umpires so we can start earlier, but it would be good if you would go.
Thank you. As you heard Dr. Good say, last week there was an incident at Lyndon McKinley where 2 of our students were injured by gunfire, and I do want to commend Superintendent Good and his staff, including those that he named and others, Chris Ward from Safety and Security, Alicia Gillison, our Chief Academic Officer, Cheryl Ward of Student Services, our Deputy Superintendent, and all the staff at Lyndon McKinley for the prompt response to the situation. And I was there today and actually got to sit in on some of the homecoming planning with the young ladies who are running for homecoming queen and some others, and we had a good time. We've addressed issues with staff, students, and parents, reviewed our protocols and increased safety measures, as the superintendent said, but there's still more to do, and not just in Lyndon, but across our entire city. The safety of our students is one of our highest priorities, and it's an important investment that we make in their future, and we take it seriously. So I know each of the board members feel strongly about children's safety and their well-being, and have reactions, questions, suggestions as well. And as president, I believe it's time that we as the board begin to elevate the discussion and dedicate specific board time to listen and learn from our internal experts, industry leaders, students themselves, parents, and the community. As a first step in this process, we'll plan to hold a special meeting to hear a briefing from the administration on current efforts in our school buildings and to discuss the broader issue of community safety. So thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you to all of those staff who have been engaged, as they always are. So thank you very much. And we'll look forward to a discussion sometime soon where we'll focus on community safety. Do you have anything else to share with the board this evening, Mr. Superintendent? All right, I thank you very much. Let's move on. I didn't see any hands up, so I don't think there are any other comments. All right, Ms. Gibbs.
Yes. I just briefly want to echo the same sentiments that Board Member Cole has shared, and I talked to each and every one of our colleagues and spent numerous hours on the phone with parents, with alumni, with people who don't even live in the city, who are very concerned about what's going on in the community and how we can address it. So I look forward to making sure we're spearheading this effort and that we are having and leading the conversation around safety for all of our kids. And I really just still want to ask everyone, as we ask you to get involved, I don't want to be remiss to not ask for prayers for everybody that's impacted and for everyone that needs to move with us to move forward, and that people are very solution driven. We've talked about the problem enough, but it's time to talk about recommendations and whatever those policies and recommendations may be, that we are an open community and that we are open-minded to keep each and every one of our children out of harm's way.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. And as I see Deputy Superintendent Stanford slip into the superintendent's chair, it reminds me that I wanted to recognize Steve McElroy, who's sitting in tonight for Mr. Oldham, our COO, who's away from the district this evening. Thank you very much. Let's move on to hear from our treasurer. Mr. Treasurer, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Baker, Vice President Cole, and members of the board. This evening, I'm here to do the report for the financial report for September year to date. And the Finance and Appropriations Committee met last Thursday. Unfortunately, we did not have a sufficient number of members present to constitute a quorum. However, we did proceed, albeit unofficially, to review the agenda items before the committee, which included this financial report. Through the month ending September 2016, we have revenues that are running approximately 5% ahead of plan, while total expenditures are running approximately 3% under plan. This information here is the data that lies behind the graph. And going further, we will delve in a little bit further into the actual revenues and look at the major categories of property taxes, state revenues, other operating and non-operating. You can see here that these revenue categories, except for the non-operating area, are all running slightly ahead of plan. On property taxes, the second half settlement is in. We don't anticipate any further revenues for the balance of this year. On the state side, the positive variance is due to just timing in terms of when homestead and rollback came in. Other operating has to do with about a little over $2 million in payments related to property tax exemptions and payments in lieu of taxes that weren't currently anticipated in the plan. And on the non-operating side, that's the cash flow items that are driven by other funds and their needs. I provided this just to give you an idea that we are following pretty much the same cash flow pattern as we experienced last year, and so since that was our basis for this year's plan, it seems that we're pretty much on target there. Moving on to expenditures, you can see that except for community schools and those related deductions, we are running slightly under plan. In the personnel area, we're within 1.3% of plan at about 1.8 million under plan. The non-personnel area, purchase services are a little bit over plan, supplies, materials under, capital outlay a little bit over plan. But since all of these items in non-personnel are controlled by the appropriations resolution, these variances are likely cash flow related and not necessarily indicative of a long-term impact that would affect our projection for the balance of the year. But we obviously will continue to monitor that. On the community school side, I did share with the committee a report from the Ohio Department of Education that we monitor monthly. Currently, they're showing those deductions running at about $166 million. We have 180 appropriated, 180 million appropriated. So we've got we've got room in there for perhaps absorbing some modifications that may occur late in October or into November, depending upon when ODE cranks through the current enrollment numbers. So we'll be watching that again on a regular basis. Again, just an example of how our expenditures are matching up to our plan, and again, the plan was based on last year's flow. So that seems to be aligning very well. In closing, relative to the financial report, we are, again, revenues running a bit over plan, expenditures under plan. We will continue to monitor these and recast our expenditures and revenues as we see necessary as data becomes available. We covered some other items at the committee meeting. Very briefly, we talked about some issues with 27 pays occurring this year, which is an impact of our calendar, as well as some other sharing of information relative to the community school deductions. But we agreed that we'd follow that up with some additional analysis as the months go by, and we get everybody in the committee there to look at that. So that concludes my report, Mr. President. I'd be glad to answer any questions that board members might have.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Are there any questions or comments as it relates to the Treasurer's report?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. You speaking to the brevity or the content? Both. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Have you anything else you'd like to share with the board this evening?
I do not, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that brings us to our internal auditor. Madam Internal Auditor, have you anything you'd like to share this evening?
Thank you, President Baker. I just wanted to share that the Audit and Accountability Committee meeting is scheduled for next Thursday, October 27th, 3:30 in the Cabinet Room.
Thank you very much. All right. Let's now consider our consent agenda. Is there a motion that we approve the consent agenda as submitted?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any questions on any particular pieces of legislation contained within the consent agenda? Ms. Gibbs?
Yes, just definitely want to call out and thank Uncle Sam's Pawn Shop and 10.8 for their donation of 4 drum sets. to our middle school program. You can't have a high school band if you don't have middle school students who know how to play music. And so definitely want to thank them for their continued support of the music program of Columbus City Schools.
Absolutely. Thank you. Mr. Preddy.
Mine was just more of a comment. One was to thank Uncle Sam's Pawn Shop, and the other one was to, our out-of-state and overnight field trips. Just an observation how we've been able to work with our sites and make sure that all those are now running smoothly as we've gone through this process. And it's just nice to see that everyone's got enough time to respond to this and make sure that we have this process in place. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, Ms. Hudson.
For our treasurer, is the report at 10.6, is it required to be approved at this meeting? I'm just wondering, it's the investment report.
It's part of our monthly financial reports that we present. Required, I suspect, no, but something that we routinely do.
Okay, well, it's fine then. That's, okay.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Preddy?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to announcements. I'll begin by saying, just had a note from Dr. Good, the Linda McKinley High School homecoming game will begin at 6:30. Referees have been confirmed, so no one needs to be there to call the game. So I hope to see you there. That should be great fun. Then allow me please to say, we do have the 2016 OSBA Capital Conference coming up called Leadership for Learning, November 13th through 16th at the Convention Center. Hope you can all plan to attend that. And speaking of OSBA, I received in the mail today a copy of a letter I'd like to share. It was addressed to Ms. W. Shauna Gibbs, and it reads as follows. Recognition by your fellow board members is the highest form of praise. They know from experience the time you spend and the work you do on behalf of students in public schools in Ohio. I'm pleased to join in the applause for your accomplishment. I'm also pleased to inform you that you have been selected to represent your region on the All-Ohio Board and will be honored at the Capitol Conference in November. You will receive further information regarding the conference later this month. On behalf of the more than 3,400 school board members in Ohio, thank you for your work for the children and the public schools in the state of Ohio. It is greatly appreciated. Congratulations, Ms. Gibbs, an honor most deserving. Being selected as a member of the All-Ohio Board is quite an honor. Do you have any comments you'd like to share on your recognition? No? Do you need a box of Kleenex?
I have a comment, but it's not about that. It's not
Very
about
well then, let's move on, shall we? Board members, any comments, questions, brief announcements?
I do.
Yes, Ms. Gibbs.
The Innovation and Reform Committee will actually meet on Tuesday, November 2nd at Columbus Downtown High School at 6:30 p.m. 6 o'clock p.m. And if you're interested in joining the Innovation and Reform, the application is on the school website. And we welcome any new members who want to be involved. But I also would like to say to the earlier conversation, and I just don't want it to be left there, very excited that we are going to hold a special meeting. But I want the community to know we have no intention of meeting to death. We want to make sure people know we are going to meet and there's going to be action. And I am just overwhelmed at the thought that our community is in such a state, and that while we're going to study and we're going to get all the information that we need, don't think that that is going to die right there. And sometimes when people hear special meeting, they think nothing else is going to happen. It is the impetus, and it is where we're going to start. And so we want to make sure people get on board, go on this journey with us to a stronger, safer district and a stronger, safer community.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. And that reminds me, speaking of Stronger, Safer Communities, there will be an opening celebration on Thursday, October 27th at the Linden Park Neighborhood Early Childhood Education Center. It's starting at 9:30 a.m. That is at 1400 Myrtle Avenue. I hope you can all attend. It will be great fun. I know that because there are balloons on the invitation I've got in front of me, so please plan to attend. This is it's a unique partnership between the district and the city and others. And Director Johnson, anything you want to share on that particular item?
No, just thank you for your support, President Baker and board members. We're very pleased that this is going to be open, and I want you to know we're on the cutting edge of this, and we believe this is the first this type of center in the country.
Thank you very much. It's all about partnership. Yes, Ms. Reyes.
Thank you, President Baker. I've been trying to gather my thoughts as to what to say about the Linden situation. And I think the only thing that hasn't been said is I would like to ensure that we build a mechanism where we can gather ideas and solutions from our community. Because like Board Member Gibbs stated, we've had many meetings. And I think her and I talked about if I have one more meeting, I might just explode. It's time to put all our solutions on a board, on a piece of paper, whatever it needs to be put on, and then start working through them. And if we had all the solutions, then we would have had it by now. I believe that our community has a solution. And I don't know, we won't know it until our community shares that with us. So if you've got to send it via snail mail, email, Facebook, whatever it is, we would love to hear from you. I know you don't all have time to drive down to a meeting down in these offices, but what you have to say is important to us. It's a rather large community, and if you don't let us know what you're thinking, what you're fearing, how you feel it needs to be addressed, then we cannot find that solution. What I hear from our community is that the leaders are trying to impose whatever solution they feel is necessary. That is not what the purpose of our meeting is. The purpose of our meeting is we cannot do it without the community. These are our children, your children. If we don't protect them now, it's only going to get worse. And I would hate to be like other cities. We have the opportunity. It is now the time to make this a better community. So,
Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Any other announcements? Yes, Mr. Brown.
Very briefly, if you've not already voted, please go vote. Last day you can do that is November 8th, Election Day, and voting in person that day. But you're also, I will encourage you to vote early. You can do that by absentee. You can do that by walking into the Board of Elections. They're open a lot of hours between now and Election Day, and I just encourage you to do that and to vote the entire ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last thing I want to do, actually, I'll ask Vice President Cole, please thank our external monitors who are with us this evening.
Absolutely. And thank you, because I wanted to do that. We have Mr. Norman and Mr. Remy who have joined us this evening as external monitors. I thank you so very much. For those who don't know what the External Monitoring Committee is, it is a community body of individuals who have collectively come together to observe us, and observe us by basis of a rubric that they evaluate our work and then score our work accordingly and appropriate a grade to us on a quarterly basis. We meet on a quarterly basis. We're a group that are focused also on organizational development within the organization. How do we look at and improve our systems to be more effective for our community and impactful for our community? I thank you again for your work. Mr. Norman, who has regularly attended, is one of our students at Columbus North International High School. I'm just so proud of him and so proud of so many of our students who exhibit your level of leadership throughout the district every day, whether they're in front of us or not. So thank you. Thank you both.
Any other brief announcements?
Yes, go Cavs. Go Indians.
Anything else for the good of the order? All right, hearing nothing, the chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Treasurer?
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you. We are adjourned. Have a good evening. Thank you very much for being here.